Welcome back, 8th graders. It's Mrs. Thompson. We're going to talk about section 7.2, example 3, and I am going to teach you today how to factor out a common binomial factor. So it is possible that your GCF is actually a quantity that has more than one term in it. It is possible. So I'm going to demonstrate it to you, and I think you're going to find it to be very, very easy. I hope so. And just circle the ones you're having questions on if it didn't make sense while I was explaining and demonstrating in this video. Okay, first thing, let's focus in on letter A. Do you notice that each of these monomials has a common quantity? Okay? What I need you to see is that this whole thing is a term, as is this one. Okay? Both of them are terms. That's how I want you to look at it. They are separated by that subtraction sign right there. That's what we know and how we know we have terms. They're not separated by multiplication, like here with the 7 times the quantity x minus 3. That's not two separate terms. That's all one term. And it's separated from the other one, 2x times the quantity x minus 3. It's separated by a subtraction sign. Okay? Now, what I want you to see is that they both share a common binomial. Now, that would be the GCF. Anything that's common is a common factor. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that out and we're going to put it out in front. There's our GCF. The common binomial factor is x minus 3. And we're going to put it in its own quantity. And whatever is left behind after you take it out goes in the other quantity. So we left behind a 7 and we left behind a negative 2x. And there you go. There is your factored version of this answer. Okay, that's just a little bit cleaned up version of what was written above it. That's how you take out a common binomial. Whatever's left behind goes in its own quantity, and the common binomial goes into its quantity. So we're looking for, when we do this page, A through H, we're looking for two quantities, if it's factorable at all. Okay, there may be one, I just glanced down and saw one that is not factorable. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's go over here to the right to letter B, all right? Now notice you have a coefficient out in front, there's negative t. What's that coefficient out in front of the other t squared plus 4? Okay, write a 1 there so it's really big and you can see it. There is a number there. A lot of students, they go, hey, there's not a number there, and they don't write anything down. So thus, they are treating it as though it were 0. It's not 0, that's an understood 1 in front of that quantity. So there is a number there. It is an understood 1, okay? Now what we want to do is we want to take the common binomial. Do you see? I squiggled it for you. What's common in both of those terms is the quantity t squared plus 4. Okay, great. Put that in its own quantity. Now, beside it, and I did it again, all right? Out beside it, what we want to do is we want to put what's left behind. And what's left behind when we remove the t squared plus 4 is negative t plus 1. And you need that plus 1 there. There's a number there. I can't tell you how many students will just write negative t. They don't see a number, so they just ignore it and treat it like it's 0, and it's not 0. It's an actual number. Okay? So let's look at C. Here I've got x plus 4, and here I got 4 plus x. And let's do kind of a mini lesson here. Let me, off to the side, do you remember the commutative property for addition? And what it said basically is if I add two numbers together, let's say, for example, 4 plus 6, you get 10. Well, what if I switch the order of 4 and 6 and made it 6 plus 4? Do I still get 10? Yes, I do. Commutative property for addition, all it says is I can add numbers in any order I want to. It's the same thing. 4 plus 6 is the same thing as 6 plus 4. they both yield 10. Now, why is that crucial in letter C? Well, we have some out of order issues here. But what I want you to see is that 4 plus x actually is the same thing as x plus 4. I can reorder that second quantity. I can put the x first and then the 4. They're both positive. I can switch their order and it looks exactly the same as that first quantity. So here's your GCF right here, what I've got underlined. Let's pull that out. And whatever's left behind, the 9x and the negative 5, goes into its own quantity. And your factor. There's your two binomials, x plus 4 times 9x minus 5. That is your factored form. Okay? Now let's look at letter D. Letter D is very tricky. Look at the quantities. Are they common? Is x plus 2 the same thing as x minus 7? And the answer is no. So this is not factorable. I don't have a common binomial factor to pull out, and it's not letting me write, and I don't know why. There we go. I had to clean off the tip. So because there's not a common binomial factor in letter D, I can't pull anything out. And so it's not factorable. I just have to leave it alone. Okay? Let's see here. Let's look at E. And, oh yes, we're good here. We do have a common factor, so we're going to take that out. And whatever's left behind goes into its own quantity. So you're going to put the coefficients in its own quantity, and you're going to put the common binomial in its own quantity, and you're done. That's the factored form right there. All right, and then F, let's do the same thing. Here's your common factor, take it out. Okay, and whatever's left behind, that would be 7x. Ooh, what number is right there? That's a tricky one. Don't just write 7x. There's another number right here. What is it? Right. If you said positive 1, you are absolutely right. Good job. Don't just write 7x. You're going to miss it. That's not how you factor that. Okay? All right, I'm going to leave the last two for you, and I think you can figure it out pretty easily. So I'm going to make both of these extra credit, 1 point for each, if you can factor letter G and letter H. Thanks for listening. Bring your questions to class tomorrow.